I will continue to make this sport better and better and better.
Don't laugh. That was the YouTuber Jake Paul saying he saved boxing. Let's get the view. Now, one of my favourite people, of course, involved in boxing, head of Queensbury Promotions, the wonderful Frank Warren joins us. Frank, hello, good evening to you.
Hi, Andy. How are you all?
We're good, we're very well. Thanks so much for coming on. I suppose I have to ask the obvious question. What do you make of Jake Paul's comments that he single-handedly has saved boxing?
Oh, he has.
Yeah, you need to finish that sentence.
No, I've got to be honest, I like Jake. I think he's a good promoter. He's a good promoter of Jake Paul, and he's done a brilliant job for himself. There's no doubt about that. He's made a lot of money in doing what he's done, but I don't know about saving boxing. He saved himself, I think.
Frank, is it good for the sport that we constantly talk about him? And irrelevant of whether or not we're saying he's good or bad for the sport, the fact that he's getting column inches for your sport, is that a good thing only?
I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm a purist, obviously, and I think that guys who, done all their, have boxed as amateurs or, pros, and they've worked their way through, that's how we gauge the value of a fighter. He'll come through, certainly in this country, fight for a Southern Area title, fight for a British, Commonwealth, European, etc. So for me, that's how I gauge it. What he's done, he hasn't fought a true boxer yet. All the guys he's fought, none of them, as far as I understand, have ever been a pro boxer. So what he's done is brilliant. He was going to fight Tommy, and through no fault of his own, Tommy had a problem with his Esther, so that couldn't be resolved in time. And Tommy would have been the first proper boxer that he fought. And had he fought, and then we could have gauged what he was, how good he actually is or was, depending on what the result was. But look, youngsters love it, and I'm saying an old geezer now, but youngsters love it. And I know when we went to that show out in the States when Tommy was on the undercard, the place was rammed. It was all young people, and unlike most shows you go to where they don't come out the bars till the sort of semi or the main event, the place they were on their seats from the start to the finish for an 8-round fight against a guy of 41 years of age in the ring with Jake. So, maybe it's a new audience. I don't know what it is, but as far as a boxer's concerned, he's an absolute novice.
Frank, let me ask you. You mentioned Tommy Fury there. I have to ask you the question: what is the latest with that? Because that fight should have taken place, I think, twice now, and both times it's not happened. The last one, I remember you saying on talkSPORT that Tommy, all he needed to do was go to the embassy and sort it out. Now, boxing fans, and whenever we talk about this in the office and down the pub, everyone says Tommy Fury has bottled this fight. Now, why is this fight still not happening?
Well, he hasn't bottled it. If he bottled it, he wouldn't have gone to the airport in the first place. So why would you go to the airport with all your bags packed in, all your team and everything to get knocked back?
Part of the plan, maybe.
No. I mean, he wanted to fight. He was getting very, very well paid for it, and he felt it was a fight he could win. He went to the airport, but you can't just walk into an embassy. You have to make an appointment and so forth. And unfortunately for Tommy, it was a position where he was never going to get there and get to the embassy and be able to guarantee that he was going to be in time to get his Esther to be out there for the 6th. So that was, and by the way, Tommy's never done anything wrong, never been involved with any people that have been alleged to be involved in crime. He's done none of that stuff whatsoever. Every fight he's had has been on my show, and every penny he's earned from boxing has been paid for by Queensbury. So that's where he's at, and it's very sad what's happened. But look, it's happened, and hopefully down the road, provided Jake comes for his next fight, hopefully we can resurrect it.
Frank, it might just be words, but Jake Paul has obviously stated that he would pay him £500,000 to come to England to face him in England. Now, I don't know if that was true or not, but if Tommy and everyone thinks it would be as easy as it's supposed to be for Tommy Fury, why didn't he just accept that, get the quick £500,000 and move on?
Well, because the fact was that Jake asked for, I think it was 15 million for himself, and it just financially doesn't stack up, and that's the end of it.
We talk about we'll go to proper boxing now. Joyce.
Hold on, before we do, just quickly, are you saying that if Jake Paul gets through Hasim Rahman Jr., that you think Tommy Fury could and should be his next opponent?
Well, I would hope we can resurrect it. I mean, obviously, everyone's talking about it. There's obviously an appetite for it, and hopefully by then his Esther situation is all sorted out and it can be done. I mean, you know, we wanted it. I mean, we look, these fights are not just made in 5 minutes. This has taken months
Sure.
of negotiation. George was dealing with his team, who've been very good. Nikita and his team have been excellent, you know, to people to work with. But, you know, it's out of everybody's hands. It's in the hands of the American government and the issuing of a new Esther for Tommy. That's where we got to.
I want to talk about Joe Joyce, Frank, who I'm a huge fan of, and he obviously come through Christian Hammer a week and a half ago. I think I heard you on White and Jordan last week, and you said that his next opponent may be announced by the end of this week. Are we any closer to hearing?
We're working on it, and I'm hoping we're going to get it over the line by Friday. So we're working on it, and you know, look, we're 8 weeks away from the proposed date, which is the 24th of September. So we've got to get it sorted.
You mentioned maybe Frank Sanchez. Now, look, he's a good fighter, I know that, but he just won unanimous decision against the same opponent that Joe Joyce demolished. Is that a big enough opponent for him, or do you have to look higher to get him closer to a world title?
Well, he's ranked number 3 in the same division as Joe. So what can you do? I mean, he's one of the options. There are other people. I mean, in an ideal world, you know, it should have been Parker, but that's not down. It's not happened. I mean, it's just boring, and it's, you know, it's well documented what's happened there. But we will make sure that Joe's got something decent on a decent show, and you know, we have to make a decent fight. You know, money's very tough now out there for people who are buying tickets for any sporting event. See that at Wimbledon a few weeks ago or last week. You know, somebody that they reckon they were 20% down in the first week or first 10 days of the tournament, and that's everywhere in the world now. Certainly in this country, money's tight, isn't it? And we got to. What we come up with is something that people want to pay their hard-earned cash for.
What about Deontay Wilder?
Well, Deontay's fighting in October. He's coming back, and they're talking about him fighting Hammer, and that'll be in the States. I'd love to do that fight, but you know, he come off of a bad knockout. There's no doubt about that. It was a bad knockout against Tyson. It was a tough fight for him. So, so I understand it may not happen, but they're talking about that fight taking place in.
So, do you say he'll be fighting Christian Hammer, the one that Joe Joyce has just beat?
No, he didn't. He didn't beat Hammer, did he? Sorry, he's fighting. Sorry, I've got it wrong. He's fighting. What's his name? The big guy, the big Scandinavian. Oh, my brain's gone. Sorry, I apologise. No, not Hammer. I'm having a senior moment. It'll come to me in a minute. But he's got.
Hellenius? Do you mean Hellenius?
I'm sorry, I do apologise. The Finnish guy, yeah. That's who he is.
Okay, all right. Listen, let me ask you about Tyson Fury, because he said something the other day. I saw him on stage, and I could just imagine you sitting at home in front of the fire having a cup of Earl Grey and then just spitting it out all over the fire when he said he'd like to fight AJ if he comes through. He'll do the fight for free, and everyone can get into Wembley Stadium for free as well.
It's too hot for a fire, but the facts of the matter are, I mean, you know, that's what he said. Let's see what happens after this fight on the 20th, this rematch between Usyk and Joshua. It's quite intriguing, really. Everybody's interested, including ourselves, me and Tyson. I think he's got a tough fight, AJ. I don't know. I just don't know what he can add to his armoury to beat this guy. I just think this fella's got his number. So if he comes through, then there certainly won't be no fight for nothing, that's for sure.
Okay, I always want a tiny exclusive, all right? So just give me a little smidgen. Are you saying that if AJ wins, you think Tyson Fury will come out of retirement?
I think if either of them win, you know, whoever wins it, I do believe in my heart, I may be wrong, and I've been wrong before, but I think that he will come out to fight the winner. But I may be wrong. Okay,
have you had that conversation with Tyson?
Yeah, I've had it a couple of times, and you know, I don't want to get into it too much at the moment, but what everybody is very much aware is Tyson's a fighting man. He loves fighting. He's training continuously, and at the end of the day, when you're training and you're training really hard, you want something to be a goal to be training for, and I think his goal would be to fight the winner. That's my opinion.
Okay, we'll take that as gospel then. Listen, we'll let you get back to that Earl Grey and maybe light that fire again, but I love speaking to you, Frank. Thanks so much for your time.
Fully Fusay.
So you cut out. Say that again, Frank.
I said it's El Puli Fusay.
Only you would know what that means. Frank, you're a superstar. Thanks for coming on, pal.